Now then, what's been happening this week? I just feel that I'm going to go speaking to you, perhaps once a week, and giving you a bit of news about what's been going on life here in France. It's Monday the 31st of March, so we're going to see. I'll stick this on podcast and on YouTube. I can't do it on podcast, can I? Never mind. Okay, so what's been? I just feel that doing it face to face like this is better than just a podcast on my bus route. But anyway, I'm sat back in my chair. I'm trying to get the camera as near to me as possible. So there we are. Right. Okay. So over the weekend, our club, we have a club in the town for pensioners. Most of them are getting on a bit now, and since COVID, we've not had any new ones. You know, we lost a lot, and we've not had any new ones. So it's difficult to get new members, and to help the members with events we do, you know, because some of them aren't ever so well off, and we supplement the meals a bit and things like that. So, and to do that, we need to earn some money. So we have these dances, and we have a card game day. It's called Boulotte, Challenge de Boulotte. Belote is the sort of national card game. It's very confusing. I'm not quite sure. I'm not a card person, but they don't play with all the cards. So maybe there's a card game like it in England, but they don't play with all the cards. And the cards they do play with have got different values to the numbers on them. What can you get more confusing than that? Anyway, it was one of our dances yesterday, Sunday, the first one of the year. It's after lunch. It's a tea dance, I suppose you'd call it in England at one time. So mainly old time dancing. There's waltzes and quick steps and paso dobles and all kinds of things, and Latin American and rock and roll, and of course there's line dancing. And the musicians yesterday were very good. It cost us a bomb though. Nicole, who books the musicians, and she's a dance person, and she knows all about these things and goes to all the local dances, which there's quite regular dances around about. You know, most Sundays there's something going on. Well, the group that was booked to entertain our dancers yesterday, Wednesday, they'd rung up and contacted and said one of them had been whipped into hospital, and was going to be there for some time, so they'd had to cancel. That's like 3 days notice. And she normally books these musicians at least a year ahead, and sometimes 2 years ahead, to get them, because there aren't that many of them and they're in demand. Anyway, she rang around. I don't know if she did it, but by the next day, or by Thursday night, she got this group. There's two chaps. They'd come quite a long way away. She said they'd played at in our town about 10 years ago, but not recently. They were good though. There's one chap was a keyboard player and singer. He had lots of gear on stage. And the other chap was a keyboard player and accordion player, and he played the trumpet. It was good. I missed recording it, but just in the second half, towards the end of the second half, he played Oh My Papa, which I told one of my colleagues, I was serving behind the bar, that Oh My Papa was a hit in England in about 1955, and it was written and played by Eddie Calvert, who was a prominent trumpet player at the time. Well, this chap played it really, really well. It was very impressive, and in fact he got a lot of applause for it. Unfortunately, not long after the start, probably about an hour after the start, I'd been in the entrance with the two ladies who were taking the money and tickets and things. I'd just been in there at the time, and these two younger girls came in together, very smart, short skirts, very striking stockings, smart shoes. They were very, very smart, probably in their 40s. And unfortunately, Nicole told me that they'd left after about an hour, said it wasn't the music they liked, they didn't like the musicians. And I thought, crikey, because what were we doing wrong? Because so many people had come up to me during the evening or during the afternoon and said how good these chaps were. I knew they were good. I like music. And anyway, these two girls are gone. Well, it wasn't until I was out on my bike ride this morning with Mongo, and I thought, why on earth didn't they like that music? And I thought, well, what was their age? Obviously, they were a complete, what do you call it, 20 years younger than all the other people there. At least 20 years. See, a lot of the other people are 70s and 80s. There's several in their 60s. But these two girls were younger, and the music was probably too old for them. They didn't want that kind of music. And we don't attract, I must admit, we don't attract youngsters like that because the music is old-fashioned. And that's what most of them want. But how long can we keep these dances going? I mean, for 2-3 years now, basically since COVID, the numbers have dropped off. And what with paying for the hall and license for the music and publicity on the local radio, and then paying for the musicians themselves, then we need about 100 dancers to break even. And we've run 3 dances for the time I've been president for the last sort of 3 years or so. And one of them, it's probably this one actually, although the hall is free for this dance because for associations in the town using the hall, the rent for the first event of the year that they do is free. So the hall we haven't got to pay for. So despite the fact we're not paid for the hall, we've had to pay double for these musicians because they came from further away. They were in a different class to the chaps we normally have. The other chaps are very, very good, but these two were in a different class altogether. And they cost us double, but we couldn't cancel, Anyway, we had 84 dancers, and so we ran into a deficit. Nicole was telling me last night, but everybody was so tired after working here. I'm 81 this year. We start at 9:30 in the morning, putting all the tables out, getting things ready, making sure everything's nice and clean and ready, loading up all the drinks and loading the fridges in the bar and everything. And then I went off to get the chouquette. I'll show you a picture of those in a minute. C'est Yolande qui regardait la publicité pour le chouquette. Oui. C'est l'entrée, c'était pour commencer. Nicole, elle avait trouvé le chouquette. C'est ouvert, s'il vous plaît.
Attends.
Ah bon, regardez le chouquette. C'est bon.
Pourquoi, Jean, je pose juste une question. À Varennes, vous avez déjà demandé le prix à Varennes déjà?
C'est moins cher.
Beaucoup plus cher.
Oui, c'est plus cher. Bonjour. And then I went home at some lunch, and back there at 2 o'clock. Nicole and several others had been there from 1 o'clock because the musicians arrived at 1 to set up. 2:30 start. And then 7:30, the music stops, folks go away, and then we start clearing up. That's putting tables away, chairs away, brushing the whole of the hall, making sure toilets and entrances and there's nothing left for the people that use, no mess for the people that want to use it next. As you leave it as you would like it left for you, as you would like to see it. So we make a big effort into that, although when we arrived on Sunday morning, the folks who'd had it Saturday night, they'd had crevette and stuff, because there was crevette jammed in the corners of the dance floor, and it wasn't too clean. And some of our folks weren't very pleased, so a letter's going to the Mary about that. They'll send us a letter if anybody finds a spot of dust where it shouldn't be. So we're in deficit again. We don't have big reserves of money because the local associations in France aren't supposed to, load themselves up with lots of money in the bank. The idea is to run an association for the benefit of the members and spend the money you've got on the members, to help them in whatever way you think fit. So we normally at the end of the year, we haven't got anything. We have a little bit of reserve, but normal day-to-day running at the end of the year, it's all spent. So we've got this deficit. I don't know how much it is. It'll be several hundred euros. And that's got to be carried forward to the next event, which is in Pentecost Monday. And that dance is normally a good one because it's a Monday and there's no competition. Sundays, there's other dances and other things on and whatever, but Pentecost is church, what do you call it? It's a church day. And so there aren't many other things going on that day. So our dance is normally successful. So, this time, to try and get more dancers, it's my idea, I suppose. We're trying to do some promotions, okay? So to try and encourage more people to come and put some more publicity out, showing people what they can benefit by coming. Lots of the other local dancers have been giving free drinks here or free water or free something else, and it's turned into a bit of a battle between them as to who gives the most. So we decided we weren't going to get involved in that. So instead, we're having a big prize draw, free, when the folks at half time. So when folks come in, they get a ticket. And this time we had a prize draw. I managed to persuade the local manager of Netto in Bourgogne. He's a really super chap. We go to Netto a lot. It's our main shopping shop, and he's had staff with him for over 20 years. He's in his second shop now. It's a big improved store in the town. The prices are good and his staff are very helpful, and it's a good shop. So anyway, I asked him about it, and he gave us what I call a carte cadeau. It's a card which the winner can present at the shop, and they get goods to the value of. And it's €50. Well, that isn't to be sniffed at. And I think folks were surprised. When I went in, we'd put publicity in local coiffeurs and whatever, and Nicole had put her posters out where she normally does. But I think folks were surprised when I went onto the floor, half time, and said, right, this is the principal prize today, and this is what we're going to do at our dances to try and encourage more dancers to come. Okay, even if it's only the chance of winning a prize at half time, but the dances are good, they're nice, the folks are very friendly, it's not expensive. We only charge €10 to come in. And as the afternoon wore on yesterday, I thought, how the hell can we do this for €10? Because it's costing us we lay out €1,000 to do this event. €1,000 for a little pensioner club. It takes some thinking about. Anyway, Mr. Big Boss at Netto, he gave us a €50 voucher. And so that was the tirage. I decided everybody should have a chance at the big one, all right? So there was other little prizes afterwards. So I said, no. The others said, well, are you going to give the little prizes first? I said, no, because once that ticket's out of the bag, if they've only won a bottle of wine, then they've lost a chance at the big one. So everybody has a chance at the big one for a start. And it was a little old lady. She's probably a bit older than me. And when I told her what it was, she'd won. She was staggered. Couldn't really believe it. I think she lives in Bourgogne as well, so that's convenient. And the second prizes were 2 bottles of sparkling wine. Two. One prize of one bottle, another prize of another one. Nice Saumur white sparkling wine, which is damn good stuff. It's as good as champagne, but you can't call it champagne. It's produced all down the Loire, and it's really nice, and it's a fraction of the price of champagne. This is publicity for Loire sparkling wine, method champenoise, traditional. It's made like champagne, and they do it in white and rosé and red if you're lucky. our local producer produces all three, just down the road. So Mr. Big Boss gave this away. Then we had 2 bottles of wine, and then I went to a coiffeur's in Bourgogne to ask them if they put a poster up for us. And so the lady there, the boss, I know a bit about coiffeurs, hairdressers, because when I was at the Standard in Boston in the 1960s, I had half the town, and I had about 6 or 8 ladies hairdressers in my area, and we used to get them to advertise from time to time in the local newspaper, and I used to do all the adverts. So I do like going into ladies hairdressers. And there's 4 or 5 ladies in there working, and it was a hairdresser's brand new place in a brand new building. Looked like it was it could be a bit of a franchise called Coiff & Co. And the boss lady came over, I explained what I wanted, and she said, yeah, no problem, I'll put the poster up for you. Would you like to take some of our vouchers, if you like? So there were a voucher for €5 off a haircut. Anything, anything you want doing at the hairdressers, as long as you go to this one. They give you €5 off the price, which isn't to be sniffed at, because the prices are similar to what the lady charges in our town. So gents wash your hair, cut, blow dry, about €25. So €5 off that, it's not to be sniffed at, is it? So she gave me a handful of those, and I gave 4 of those away yesterday evening. It took folks a bit. I said, don't you folks have a haircut? I mean, several people, I said, this is the number, pulled out the hat. Who wants one of these vouchers? Anyway, we got rid of them all. But there was 1 or 2 a bit apprehensive. I said, right, you can give them to your neighbours, you can give them to your family and friends, anybody. I don't know about somebody who's bald, but if you want to have a haircut, if you want to go to this, try these folks. They're very nice. I can say they're very nice, very welcome, very friendly people, and you'll get €5 off your haircut or styling or whatever with this voucher. So we got those, and then I by that time my head was ringing, and I went home for an hour, put my legs up, and then went back at 7 o'clock to help them to tidy up and put everything away when it was all finished. So we've got the Nicole and I'll get together this next week, and we'll see how much deficit they've really made. I mean, we can carry it for a bit, but you can't keep on doing it. You see, we could carry one deficit, provided the next one is good, and we've only got 2 dances this year because one of the other associations in the town wants the hall in October, beginning of October, when we would have our 3rd dance. We have to get it in before the Mary charges for heating, because the hall costs virtually doubles if you want heating. So we can get a dance in the beginning of October when we don't need heating. And there we are. We didn't have heating yesterday, and it was a horrible morning, but the sun came out in the afternoon and everything was quite warm. So one of the associations wants the hall on the Sunday we would have at the beginning of October, so we've only got 2 dances this year. So the next one's got to be good. I mean, it's got to be good to cover the deficit of this one. And then we still haven't got anything left over to help the members to, fund a meal or 2 or help them with some costs or something. So how long can we keep doing it? Do we look at other directions? And we're racking our brains, to try and see what best did. I thought this promotion idea, it isn't something that's going to be an overnight success, obviously, but there were 84 people there, all regular dancers, all go to other dances, regularly. I mean, probably not once a week, but once a fortnight, or at least once a month. They go to other dances, and they're going to tell their friends that this is what happened. At our dance yesterday, there's a big prize draw, didn't cost them anything, didn't have to buy a ticket, and someone won a €50 voucher. So it's only an 84 to 1 chance, but that's not bad odds, is it? It's better than the National Lottery, 84 to 1. And the next ball dance in June, Pentecost Monday, I've got an idea to ask a local wine producer to give us a couple of boxes of wine. That'll be 2 boxes of 12 bottles, of wine as prizes, and then I might ask around a bit more, see what else I can get. Yeah, I used to do this a lot in England when we were fundraising for the Scouts and things like that, begging prizes for all kinds of things. So they don't do it much over here. So maybe we'll start a new fashion. But hopefully these dancers will tell other dancers, and that's what we hope will happen, to get more folks to come to our dances. Apart from that, what else? Well, Bongo and I have been for our dog run this morning. I'm doing this in the morning because it's a perishing cold morning again, and damp and wet and miserable. Although the sun is out, it's only 5 degrees out of the sun. And I'm just going to wait and do some gardening this afternoon. The fritillaries, the snake's head fritillaries, that I took a video of the other day, which is on one of my YouTube things, they've gone this morning. The ones in the field that are under the trees are looking dreadful. But it's been so cold. It's been almost close to frost. In fact, in 1 or 2 places we could have had a frost these last few nights. Not just one night, but several nights. And the fritillaries on the roadside, the ones I got the main pictures of, have gone. Their heads have shriveled up and dropped off the plant because it's been so darn cold. And it shouldn't be this time of the year here. The wine producers all around us with the vines have got whirligigs. They've got like a big airplane propeller on a post that goes round and stirs the air up around the vines, and then they have pots of fire which they put down between the rows of the vines. They're like one of these, you see the medieval castles with the thing in the wall with a torch on fire, and that provides the light and everything. We'll have a thing like that, but it's a pot of fire, rows of them between the vines, and they set them early in the morning if there's a risk of frost, which of course, and this is when the vines are starting to bud. Well, they aren't yet. They're just trimming them at the moment. But end of April, May, there's often a risk of frost, just one sharp frost. And they have all this stuff ready. They can hear the whirligigs going as dawn breaks, making this noise. They think, oh my gosh, it's going to be frosty. And there they are with this stirring the air up and stirring the warm air around the vines. Not just the vines, but this is quite a big apple and pear growing area, and kiwis and all kinds of things like that. And there are acres and acres of fruit trees around us. And they've got these things there as well. Because obviously, at the moment, our peach trees are coming into bud. Apricots finished. I don't know what's happened to that. Peach trees are just coming into bud now, and the apple tree is showing signs of breaking into bud as well. So the fruit tree farmers are going to be very vigilant at the moment, and we should be hearing these whirligigs going very soon, as they've got their pots of warm air and the aeroplans going along. And then a month or so, when the vines start budding, then it'll be the vineyards and the wine producers will be doing the same sort of thing. So it's quite fascinating. We live in an area where the vines are all around us, well, yeah, it's just part of our life. One last thing I learnt. A local chap who, well, I won't tell you what he does for a living. Unfortunately, he's died now, but he used to come and trim our hedge for us he was driving a hedge trimmer. It wasn't his, but he'd come along now and again and he'd trim our hedge with this hedge trimmer. And the first time he ever came, I said, oh, thanks ever so much. Would you like a drink, before you go? And do you like tea or coffee? And he looked at me and said, tea and coffee? Yes. And I suddenly realised, I thought, tea and coffee, you idiot. You're in a wine area. So in the morning, you offer them white or rosé, and in the afternoon they have red wine. And so the longer I lived here, the more I became more involved in the community and visited local people at their homes while they were working. They're mainly market gardeners around here. Then you know that if they've got a cold room on the premises where they store the veg and things and lettuces and radish, stuff that's waiting to go to market, then in the corner of the cold room is a beeb, a bag-in-box of wine. And that's what you have when you go and visit. You don't have tea and coffee. It's a glass of wine. Of course, it's obvious, isn't it? Wine is second nature here. Anyway, I think that's enough for today. Don't want to make it too boring. So that was the first little podcast of what's been happening in the last few days. And yeah, some of you will listen to it, I hope. Until the next time, don't forget, website. You can download lots of books from Cracker Books website. I'll put that on here while I'm making this video. And Buzzsprout, there's over 200 podcasts of different stories, and most of them funny. Some of them are hilarious. So have a look at those. Thanks for being with us. Cheerio for now. Lost it.